Alright, what is up, everybody? Welcome to TNT Championship 2024 Season 1. I am Deltheus. We've got the face cam on for a little bit here. I did have to show off my Tooth and Tail shirt that I know all of you in the chat are furiously jealous of. So brand new event here. It seems weird introducing the event like this when I've already played all my matches. Actually, Group A was very, very quick to get all their matches done, so shout out to Group A. I think there's literally one more match left in competitive Group A that needs to be done, and we are completely finished, but I'm already getting off rails. Good to see everybody. It's been about 4 months or so since the last event, so first and foremost, what are we doing? Obviously another championship season here, first season of 2024, and big shout out to our tournament organizer this time around, ToothandTailTV. Always great to see people step up into this role. It's a lot of work, running tournaments, coordinating with all the players, doing all the math behind the scenes, figuring out rules that make sense and are balanced and all that. So, and the scene literally would not be here without these people stepping up into these roles. So really big shout out to ToothandTailTV. I know I'm the guy on the stream, with the camera, but really it's ToothandTailTV who's the MVP this season. Also, Unprecedented Studios, I believe, is helping with some tournament organizing. So recently bought a massive TNT poster, which is on my dorm wall. That is awesome. I have a little signed one. Remind me later if you want to see it. Poster I got at TwitchCon when I was hanging out with Andy Schatz, the developer of the game, and he signed it for me. So it's pretty sweet. But that's awesome that there's posters you can get. I guess nowadays you can kind of like get a poster of anything you want. But anyways, yeah, big shout out to the tournament organizers, Unprecedented Studios, and ToothandTailTV. If I'm missing anybody else, let me know. Actually, if anybody knows who helped create this balance patch, let me know as well, because that is what we're talking about here first and foremost. I think the spiciest thing about this season of the event is that we are on a custom patch. So Illuminatus is keeping up with updating the game, based on balance and stuff. So this is some good notes for his notepad, essentially, on if these changes are solid or not. So we got those changes that are going to be on this every game is going to be played on this custom patch, essentially, and we have a little bit of a balance update there. So Eel made the patch. Interesting. Okay, Fleur is helping too, thanks. ToothandTailTV is in the chat, aka Freak Morris, so be sure to thank him, my wonderful chatters, for letting this event come to life. So Floor also helped put the event together, and this is Eel's balance patch. So Eel is using us as guinea pigs here, and ToothandTailTV was involved in harvesting this as well. Interesting. So I guess first and foremost, change number 1: no pig body blocking. It's a small detail, but what I believe this means is that when pigs start firing at an opponent, they don't move anymore. So this is kind of a nuanced thing that can come up in certain aggressive builds. So your pig kind of moves around on its tile, right? Just as part of its animation. Now that can actually matter though, because imagine if the pig is a corner pig and then he moves all the way out to the corner of his corner pig tile. He's pretty exposed there to some lizards or something like that, right? So what some smart players figured out was you can run your commander up to it when it's at the right spot, lock it into place, and then it'll stay there, shoot the commander, and then now your lizards can come in when the pig's exposed and take it out. I believe that's what this refers to. Correct me if I'm wrong. When a unit got... so that's not what he referred to. It refers to when a unit gets stuck on a bit when the pig's trying to walk past. Interesting. So I guess what I was just describing does still work. It's literal, collision. That's weird, because there's really no, collision at all in this game, right? Outside of, gristmills and campfires. Yeah, I guess you could call that locking, not body blocking. Fair enough. So, Mole down to 1 DPS. I believe it was at 2 beforehand. Mole's still a very powerful unit. It has a lot of tanking capability on the front lines. Also crits structures, and what I thought was interesting, so obviously cutting the Mole damage in half is a big deal, but the way they tried to balance that here was now if the unit, if the squirrel's standing on a warren, it's gonna hit both of them, which is pretty cool. And you can also burrow to the moles, which is pretty interesting. In some of my games and some of my practice matches, I did still see moles around, so I don't think that they're going to be completely out of the meta. I think that they have a very strong role still as a frontline tank, kind of like a budget chameleon. So snakes are up to 30 HP, and they got a damage buff as well, 1.5 DPS over 10 seconds. I did not write it down because I was running out of room, but against commanders, it's half the duration. So I think that makes sense. We didn't see a lot of snakes. Snakes are one of the units that's been sort of balanced quite a bit, and on our last championship, we did not see a lot of snakes, which led to a lot of boars and other big units like that coming along, because the snakes are really good at dealing with tier 2 and tier 3, but in certain iterations of Tooth and Tail, snakes would kind of push ferrets out of the meta, because they would also be really good at doing the ferret's job as well, right? Like poking structures. They used to be able to poison structures, or just being a poke unit in general. So I think where the balance team is trying to land the snake right now is to keep that utility of a good like anti-tier 2, anti-tier 3 unit, but not necessarily replacing what the ferret's supposed to be. So, alright, moving on. The boar bomb reduce down to 12 damage. So it's going to be still going to take out your tier 1s, but not going to really take out the tier 2s anymore. A big nerf. I think it was originally like 19 damage or something like that. So, again, I feel like the boar is kind of getting double trouble here, though, because the snake's being buffed is already kind of a secondary kind of nerf to boars, if you will, because snakes are really good at dealing with boars. Toad HP is up. I love to see it. I think toads are a very strong unit, a very cool unit. Almost like this game's version of the Banelings, but in my opinion, a little bit more skill-driven than Banelings, because if you take out a toad before it dies, then it doesn't blow up, where the Baneling will blow up regardless. So there actually is a lot of counterplay. I love it when toads are viable in a meta, because I think that it adds a lot of variety and nuance to tier 1 engagements. You can't really get away with only having squirrels now, and I think on this patch, from my experience, it feels like every tier 1 is viable, which is super cool. You can go lizards, you can go mole, you can go toad. You could just go squirrel, but you're really taking a risk now that toads are back in the fold, because you need something else. Like, a lot of times what you can do is, if you go squizzard, you can maybe hold on to like 3 lizards and then have everybody else be squirrels, but then use those lizards to run into the group of toads or something like that. So if you're only on squirrels now, you're going to be in a little bit of danger, unless maybe you got chameleons or something else that can kind of body block against those toads. So Wire also getting a buff, just to try to get it back into the fray. Wire's in an interesting spot. I mean, it's dirt cheap. I think it's like 5 food. And yeah, so not a lot to say about the Wire there. The tier 3 Warren change is always interesting. I think previously we were at 45 seconds. So now they're at 50. So that's a 10-second increase to putting down a Warren, and I've got a tier 3 unit in play. 10 more seconds, which can be absolutely huge. A lot of times getting a tier 3 down can be a dicey situation. It's a big investment. And you need to hold on for that extra 10 seconds. Could come up in some games, could not matter in some other ones. And then improve formation priority, I guess that it just is, I don't know exactly what that means. It's a little bit of a vague statement, but if I had to guess, obviously it's, units being a little bit smarter, because the thing is, Tooth and Tail does not really have unit collision, but it has a caveat, so everybody will stack, like Mutalisks and Brood War or something like that when they're moving around. But the difference there is that everything needs to find a tile before it can actually do anything. So I'm assuming what this means is when the units are all stacked up, and then now we're going to our spread back out, find a tile, they're going to be a little bit smarter on which tile they go for, which direction they go for. It has to do with Badgers taking tile priority over other units. That makes sense. Okay, so those are the changes of the patch that we're playing on. So some pretty big changes, and yeah, this is from Eel, who is the balance guy. So this is a good spot for us to test all this out, see how it works. And again, Tooth and Tail is not the most popular game in the world nowadays, but when we do an event like this, people come out. You know, let's see, we got 24 players signed up for competitive, and if my math is right, 22 on open. So 46 people signed up for this. Pretty sweet. And again, real quick, the difference between competitive and open, it's pretty much exactly what it sounds like. There's no like ELO or like requirement to be in competitive. It's kind of your own best judgment, right? If you're going to play competitive, you're playing against the tryhards, you're playing against people who want to be the best, who are, you know, being sweaty or practicing. If you're playing in open, you're playing against people who are taking it a little bit more casually, just having fun, not really, you know, trying to Ash Ketchum this game and be the very best. So I guess the last thing about the event here is the format of the event. I actually really like this format. It's pretty similar. I feel like the formats are kind of tuned in at this point. But basically, we're doing a round robin. If you don't know what round robin means, it means you're going to play everybody else in your group one time, and they're all going to be best of fives, and you're going to gain a point for winning the match. You're going to lose a point for losing the match. So winning a 3-0 is astronomically better than winning a 3-2. Because if you win a 3-0, you get 3 points. If you win a 3-2, you only get 1 point, right? And then the points are going to get tallied up, and the top 2 players from every group is going to advance on. And we're going to do a quarterfinals, also best of 5, semifinals, best of 7, third place bronze match is best of 9, and the finals is best of 13, which is kind of a meme in our community here. One of the best games of all time, in my opinion, Tataka vs. Mishi, was the best of 13. If you haven't seen that video, check it out on my YouTube. I think it's just sort by like views. It's the most viewed one. Fantastic series there. So, all right. So with that all out of the way, again, the people behind the scenes of this event are Unprecedented Studios, Tatanka, Floor, and I would also consider Illuminatus. You know, he's always there to be the mod if we need a mod. And then also, you know, created the balance patch. Some of the other casters involved here, Urbane Olive, check out his YouTube channel if you haven't. I'm not sure, Olive, are you just kind of doing YouTube now and moving away from Twitch? Because I saw your first couple videos were straight to YouTube, which I watched earlier today, and they were great matches. Unprecedented Studios signed up to do some casting. Tatanka may do some casting. Sasha may do some casting. And Jason Blade also is another great YouTube caster. Does a pretty good job of editing videos and getting them up on the YouTube. So, okay, we've talked about what the event is. Let me take a sip of coffee here, and then let's go over the groups and then get into some matches. I did grab three series for today, but depending on, I don't know how we're feeling after those, and if we're having fun, still have the energy, maybe we'll do more. There's already a lot of matches that need to be cast, so if you're a caster, please pick them up. If you're not a caster, you want to get involved, you want to do something on Twitch, you do not have to do things as fancy as I do it. I mean, just pop your stream up, you know, get this going. A scoreboard is nice, you know, highlight the video so we don't lose it, but generally in these matches, like, or these events, we need casters. Like, we want to try to get every series cast, and, like, quite frankly, me and Olive alone, or Jason Blade as well, like, we're not going to have time, so we need as many people casting games as possible. So if you're interested at all at casting, we'd love to have you on board, and if you need help setting anything up, feel free to message me on Discord. But anyways, Group A, we've got Heartseed, Scav, Melvin Fro, Big Pimpitas, Mishi, and myself, Delthius. So Melvin Fro is the current reigning champion, and Mishi is in my opinion the greatest of all time. So pretty stacked group here. My prediction for the group is Mishi and Melvin Fro will make it out. If Scav or Heartseed or somebody else manages to sneak through, that would be an enormous upset. I feel like it would be a very big surprise if Melvin Fro and Mishi did not make it out of Group A. So every group's going to have 2 people survive. So, again, Big Pippin Tosh is a really well-known name. Heartseed's been around forever as well. Tosh does a lot of streaming. Not so much anymore, but he would stream and cast a lot. So, and then Scav has been around not super old school, but Scav has been around for a decent amount of time now as well, and has been performing pretty well, playing in these events and stuff. So Group B, Lego Man, Protocam, R22, Lejaim, Tatanka, and Fleur. Obviously Tatanka is probably a top 5 player, so easily if I had to guess, I'd say Tatanka and Lego Man make it out. But R22, if I remember last season, I could be wrong, but I feel like R22 just did crazy good last season. And Fleur is also a bit of a wild card as well. If Fleur really practices and tries hard, they can make it. Protocam's been around forever. Another one of these guys who is, I think been around since 2018. Yeah, R22 came in 4th place last season. Yeah, okay, so I'm not crazy. R22, man, maybe R22 sneaks out instead of Tatanka or Logo Man, depending on how things shake out. So I don't think Proto, unfortunately, I love you, man, but I don't think he's gonna get out. I think Fleur would be also a tough one to get out as well, or Lejaim. I think that group is all about Tatanka, Lego, and R22. Not trying to dog anybody or anything, of course. I'm just trying to say what my predictions are here. So Exnor, Sasha, Evil Murloc, Erlu, Urban Olive, and Meek in Group C. This is a very strong group. Sasha came out in 2nd place last season. Sasha has not quite clinched a premier victory yet, but got very, very close. So Sasha's always a fantastic player. They're generally pretty hungry. They're generally pretty sharp. So I think Sasha is favored here. Meek is an old school great. I think Meek won a premier event back in the day. If he didn't win, he came in 2nd place. I do remember that series. Meek was I feel like Meek was one of the more powerful players. I'm not sure about today, but if we went back to 2021, 2020 era, then Meek was the guy, Meek and the Gentleman. So but Erlu's also, if you said Erlu was the GOAT, he's a top 5 player as well, I think. So between Erlu, Meek, and Sasha, it's going to be close. Urbane Olive is newer, but also very strong, very sharp kid, casts a lot, studies the game a lot. So I think, man, this is a tough one. I'm going to have to say Sasha and Erlu coming out of Group C. But if Olive or Meek somehow upset one of those, I wouldn't be super surprised. I don't think Murloc or Exnor will get out, although both of them are strong players. Yeah, my guesses for Group C are going to be Sasha and Erlu. Alright, Group D, Marmu, Lucas Nikas, which is this guy, QQ, Noun Verver, That Scar, and Zinsej. Marmu is a very, Meek-style player to me. Marmu was the guy, 4 years ago or something. He was a very strong player. I'm surprised to see Marmu back. I'm not surprised, I shouldn't say it like that. I'm pleased to see Marmu back. What's really cool about this game is, it came out in 2017, and it's still a lot of the same people, hanging out playing from time to time, because it's so fun. I mean, it's not that hard to get back into. You don't need crazy mechanics. A lot of these guys, they just pop on for the events, don't play too much outside the events, and you have a good time. You see some people that you've known for several years, some internet friends, and that is what it is. So glad to see Marmu coming back in here. But I feel like this guy in QQ, the thing about QQ is that he's a Grandmaster StarCraft 2 player, which I respect a lot. And I think that mechanically and strategically, he's going to have a lot of advantages just because his raw RTS experience and the fact that he plays a lot of RTS consistently. I don't really play a lot of RTS anymore. I'm mostly a Final Fantasy 14 and Magic the Gathering guy these days. But QQ's still grinding the StarCraft 2 ladder. I think that gives him a big advantage. So I think I'm going to have to say this guy in QQ. Zinsej also performs well. The problem is, this is such a hard cut, the top 2 out of every group, everybody in competitive looks really good. So it's always hard to say. You never know. But, You know, maybe that Scar or Zinsej or Down Verber could, like, really show up, do a lot of practicing, and get there. I think a couple of those guys have been practicing lately. So that matters too, man. Like, I know I said Tooth and Tail's kind of like riding a bike, you know, but at the same time, if you have that mentality too much, like, let's say, you know, this guy hasn't played Tooth and Tail in forever, which probably isn't the case because he's always trying to play the Minecraft mod, you know, just shows up. But now Verber or that Scar, you know, they've been practicing every day for like a week. You know, they could upset him. Like, how much you actually prepared for the event is going to come into this a lot. So, anyways, those are my predictions. I think in summary here for competitive, Group A, Melvin and Mishi. Group B, what did I say? Tatanka and Lego Man. I don't know. R22, though. You know what? I'm going to change it. I'm sorry, Lego. Tatanka and R22. So Group A, Melvin and Mishi. Group B, Tatanka, R22. Group C, Erlu and Sasha. Group D, this guy and QQ. So those are my competitive predictions. Open, I'm not going to do predictions on, but what I am going to talk about on Open are who the new players are that I don't recognize here, or who I do recognize. So Ben A, I've seen them around. Winterload. Winterload was really active like a couple of years ago. I think Winterload even did like some tournament organizing and casting. Cold Soup, B-Man, and Bucci. I don't recognize any of those, so love to see some new faces. I don't think I recognize Vinny either. I know Vinny is similar to Vinya, which we see in Group D there. So yeah, again, I don't really have a lot to say about the Open Division as far as skill level goes. Group B, the Devil himself, that's a new name to me. We'll see them today. DeGrazian and Green Fox, I recognize. Welcome back. Green Fox, I think, is pretty new, but they've been in the last couple events. Totally Not a Voyeur is a new name to me. Jason Blade and Kerpa, both love to see them. I think Kerpa could play competitive if they really wanted to. They used to, back in the day, compete, but totally makes sense play Open. And Jason Blade, another caster, so a big shout out to Jason Blade. Check out their YouTube. I do not believe they do Twitch. I think they are YouTube only, so check out their casts there. I'm sure they're going to cast this season as well. Group C, Space Nut, I remember them. Retired Boxer, I don't think I've seen Retired Boxer. Probably a reference to the legendary StarCraft Brood War Terran player Boxer, Slayer's Boxer. Cheshire Saxophone, welcome back. They've been around forever. Pingu has been around for a long time. So is Jordy. Jordy, not a crazy amount of time, but Jordy's been around. I want to say Jordy's like the same kind of era as like DeGrazian and Green Fox. I think they all came in when we did our last like clan war situation. And then finally in Group D, Immortal Artisan, new name to me, Vinya. Vinya's very, what's the word I'm looking for? Very popular Tooth and Tail personality as well. They've done a lot of tournament organizing and casting, so love to see them be a part of this event again. Epicosity, another classic name in Tooth and Tail, does a ton behind the scene. Helps out a lot in most tournaments and that kind of stuff. I think Epicosity does a little bit of streaming too from time to time. And then Zard, newer name, but I do recognize it. And Cripwater, that's a new one. So overall, I guess what is the most exciting to me in Open League is how many new names there are. And again, just because I don't recognize it doesn't mean, you know, they're brand new. But I think that's a relatively decent yardstick, so let me count up the new names to me. So Cold Soup, B-Man, Vinny, and Bucci are all new names. The Devil himself, Totally Not a Voyeur. Retired Boxer, I don't think I've seen before. Immortal Artisan, and Cripwater. So that's 9 new names. So I believe that's 9 people's. This is going to be 9 people's first Tooth and Tail event. I could be wrong. There's also a lot of people that change their names and stuff. Given a quick flip through the open bracket, I don't think I'm going to do predictions per group, but to win the whole thing, I think the favorites here, when I look at these names, Winterload, somebody in chat said Winterload is normally pretty good. Vinya is really good, Epicosity is really good, Kerpa's really good. I think the Grazian actually played really well last season also. So those are the names that I'm looking at there. So Anyways, we are going to be done with the introduction. This will be on YouTube as part of the playlist. So just mostly so like the YouTube audience understand what's going on in the event, that type of stuff. Really excited to get this thing going, and let's hop over into our first matches here.